All right, so how does this quiplash thing work? I'm an old man now and do not understand the new technologies
Yeah.
that the kids
I
use.
mean, we're all we're all getting there. We're all in our 30s. So we're just maybe we're just gamers. I don't know. Are you a gamer, Caleb?
Uh, Very occasionally.
You
I don't
play a
know. I
lot of
like.
board games though, right?
I used to. Now
Right,
I'm
right.
mostly just a dad, so I don't do a ton of fun things these days. The last game I really played intensely was Witness, which is like a puzzle game. That's kind of
Right.
more my speed. But
Um,
how does this
Oh,
work?
sorry. Oliver, you're recording right now, right?
I'm recording, yeah.
This is all good stuff. So if you go to either on your phone or actually on your browser as well,
Mhm.
go to jackbox.tv.
Right. Oh, like the instructions say on the actual Twitch stream.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, it's such a, you know.
I get it.
Oh, by the way, thank you so much for joining us today. Um,
Yeah, no problem. I'll be this guy.
have you have you been able to keep your food cool? It was your fridge that stopped working, right?
Yeah.
Was it your fridge?
Yeah, it kind of sucks. We have two
Yeah.
small mini fridges taking its place for the meantime while we
Oh, okay.
figure out how to replace it.
Yeah. Everyone just go buy the album and then we'll be fine. So the album is search engine optimization at essseeoh.bandcamp.com.
Uh-huh.
Um,
That's the new jams.
so I'm just going to be uploading this at any point, and so I suppose we can just do everything in post. Anyway, so you're on now, and yeah, so I guess we can start now if you want to, Oliver.
Yeah, let's
So
go for it.
Yeah,
we're
cool.
calling this Jordan, are you okay with this if we call this appetite for distraction?
Yes.
Cool,
Yes,
good.
yes. We never did anything with that name, so it's
Yeah, so we're going to call this appetite for distraction. Uh, I mean, it was going to be like a podcast thing, but we'll make this whatever
Is that the name of
the episode.
the episode or the show?
Yes.
Which is it? Because that's too
Okay,
good a name
it's-
to be just for an episode. That's got to be for a show.
Oh no. Oh yeah. It was going to be for that. Okay, so let's go. Okay. Oh yeah. So I need to explain to Caleb how this even works. So you know nothing about this at the moment, Caleb.
I'm a babe in the woods.
Have you played Cards Against Humanity, or have you
I
heard
have
of it?
not.
Okay. All right. Well, then don't worry about Cards Against Humanity. Just forget that name. So what we do in this game is we look at. So are you playing on your phone?
I have my that
Another tab.
Jackbox.tv open on the laptop here,
Okay. Yep. Cool.
and then I see
So-
your Twitch stream as well.
Yeah. Cool. So when when that starts, you open your tab, and you'll get a couple of prompts that are just kind of like some kind of silly question or something like that, and you just answer in a way that you think is funny.
Okay.
And then each of the other players will vote on two of the answers that they think are the funniest. So our quips will be will go against each other, and we vote in that way. So yeah, but I mean, the aim of the game is just to make jokes, and you get points and stuff like that. But I never really pay much attention to them. Anyway, because I'm really cool. Anyway, okay. Do you wanna go for it, Oliver?
You're the VIP. I think you have to start the game.
Oh, I'm okay. Sorry, everybody's in.
Were you just stalling?
So I didn't even realize. Cool. So search engine optimization. So this was a long This is a very long time in the making, wasn't it? But I guess most of your projects have been, Caleb.
Yeah, I'm not a fast worker. I've learned. I would like to be, but I'm not. It's not working out.
You're a very thorough worker, though.
Mhm.
Okay. We got to answer these things as well. So we have. Oh gosh, is there a timer here? Oh yeah, 82 seconds. So we've got we have about 90 seconds to answer 2 of the quips.
All right.
Okay.
Oh my gosh. Okay. So I guess this is why we're calling it that for distraction, because I'm trying to answer this thing at the same time as trying to not make a fool of myself. Oh man, I can't be funny at the moment.
Why do we just laugh then?
Trying to be like charming and funny radio host while trying to be funny on Quiplash, and it just doesn't work. Do you guys want to say things, or are we just is this gonna be just an awkward silence for a long time?
It's hard to riff live and also riff in my head about this.
Yeah. That's the idea. Just awkward everything.
One, the Twitch stream is about a 6-second lag.
Oh my gosh!
Yeah. Oh, you got in?
Did I get in?
You
No.
get, I think it has a bit of leeway actually. That's good.
Oh, okay, I didn't. Yeah, but anyway, okay. Let's see how this goes. I have you listened to much K-pop, Caleb?
I haven't. I did listen to BTS just recently.
All right.
But that's like the most mainstream possible thing, and I found it quite interesting. But that's not deep down the rabbit hole. I understand that.
Oh yeah,
I like how they mash tons of different genres together.
Oh yeah, that's so. When I heard SEO, I was like, oh, this sounds like K-pop, basically. Well, as in it's. I mean, obviously your stuff mashes genres as well, but especially how clean the production is. I was like, wow, this is very. I mean, this is very like a post K-pop kind of sound. Like K-pop is so clean; it is so cleanly produced. There's no rough edges anywhere. And I, after, with Decomposure, it seems like you're quite keen on like showing the rough edges of things like that. And I kind of liked the freshness of this, of everything's very, very smooth. So that's cool. And that's kind of what I like about K-pop. I assume Jordan likes that about K-pop as well.
Yes,
Jordan?
I do. Very much so.
It's just really bubblegum.
By the way, I used a safety quip, but it felt like it wasn't matched to the prompt. Have they changed that?
It felt like it was or wasn't. The generation nickname for babies born 10 years from now. Yeah, Melania sounds good. I can't vote now.
Because the prompt was like educational kids TV show, and the safety quip was like Pennywise's science hour or something. It's like,
oh right, that's
are the safety quips now related to the prompt?
Oh, I don't know. Yeah, maybe. Looks like I can't vote. Oh no, I did actually write that one. I didn't even look at that one. Sorry. Okay. But yeah, like I mentioned on Twitter, Caleb, like if you're interested in very, very kid friendly pop music, I would highly recommend Crayon Pop. They make songs about like dancing and like the alphabet, the Korean alphabet and stuff like that. That kind of just, and they all wear like helmets and just do like a funny dance. Like I think BTS is very kid friendly too, and then it's all like the message and stuff like that is very positive and self-love and stuff like that. And I guess maybe that's also why they're really blowing up outside of Korea. But I think Crayon Pop is a special kind of group. I thought I would just spend this entire interview just recommending music to you, Caleb.
That's good with me. I love music. Music is my jam.
Yeah. I mean, it's all about jam here, I think. What have you guys been jamming recently? You probably mentioned this in like the I don't know if you mentioned this on Twitter. I think you mentioned what you were jamming at the time. But how about very recently? I know you're a huge Beach Boys fan, but I don't know if you've been revisiting them or.
Yeah, like what have I been listening to? I've actually been listening all the way through James Brown as in kind of chronological order, just to see how
All right.
how he evolved over the years. He's obviously a whole bunch of fun. Yeah, I mean, I have like a giant list of things that I've been listening to throughout the year.
Right.
Should look at it here. Yeah, James Brown, love Televangel, E.B. Bridgers, Snide, new Whitney album's great. My kids really love the Lego Movie 2 soundtrack, so we end up listening to that a whole bunch.
All right. I never watched the second one, but I mean, you know, everything is. I only know everything is awesome. So, but I'm sure the second one is great too, and I like a candidate.
Benny sings. He's great. Yeah, there's so much.
There is so much, isn't there? There's.
Yeah, I mean, the problem now is like so much music is coming out now that I can't keep up with it anymore. So I try my best to keep up, especially with COVID. Like, it seems like every artist I've ever loved is now just dumping all their discography on the internet at this moment. So lots of good stuff out there.
How about you, Jordan and Oliver? What have you guys been listening to recently?
I think, as I said the other day, like a lot of like video game soundtracks.
Oh yeah. Which video games?
Like a lot of like Dreamcast stuff.
Oh yeah.
Like the Phantasy Star Online soundtrack and Jet Set Radio.
All right.
And stuff like that.
Dreamcast is
that kind of music seems like very vaporwave to me.
I mean, Dreamcast is like vaporwave. Like,
it's
probably the most vaporwave. Yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, it's probably more like vaporwave sounds like that, I guess. But that seems like that kind of like ethos to me.
Oh, sorry, I didn't mean what like the literal definition of vaporwave. It's very confusing. So, Caleb, have you listened to much vaporwave?
Yeah. Let's see. I follow
because search engine optimization is obviously a very post-internet vaporwave kind of name.
Yeah, there's one label that I follow on Bandcamp that just releases nonstop vaporwaves, and I'll snag some stuff now and then from them. And I don't know that I'd have a favorite one like that. To me, all of the vaporwave guys kind of blend into each other in a wonderful way. But
I think that's seems to be the idea.
I don't know that I got a favorite, but yeah, it's a cool aesthetic. Like it's the perfect like working music, as it just kind of sits in the background nicely as I work along.
As you work in the virtual plaza.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Probably get to talk about like the tracks on. So it's kind of a title. This title is search engine optimization, but I guess it's like I guess it's like the first of. Is it going to be first of many? Or first of a few?
I don't have a ton of plans for it. Like I just felt like now was the time to kind of try something different.
Yeah.
Like in the past, I've self-produced kind of everything I've done, and I felt like this was kind of a clean break where I had these productions from other people, and it didn't really sound like anything else I've done directly. Yeah. So, and it's not like Decomposure is this great brand name that everyone knows anyway. So, I figured try something else new and slightly different.
Just some people know and then go whenever like people like mention really good music or something like that. It's just I think I think being a Decomposure fan is definitely a bit of a lonely fan existence. I hope it's all right to say. I mean, I guess maybe being Decomposure is a bit of a lonely musician existence. But that's kind of like the beautiful stuff that I get out of Decomposure too is it's so much of everything, and it's so much of it's so separate in terms of everything else. It's like a very strange hidden gem for anyone who hears it, I guess. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know how weird it is to hear people talk about your music like that. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, what can I say about it? Like,
no, yeah.
I think I have my own internal compass of what I think is great music, and I've learned over time that not a lot of people share that same conception of what it is. And I don't even know that I necessarily share that idea, the conception that like my music must be great. Like I listen to lots of other music that sounds nothing like my stuff.
Yeah, I mean, I get
just like when I make it, it has to sound a certain way, and I end up pursuing that regardless of how successful I think the prospects for it will be.
Yeah, I mean, it's some of the most uncompromising. Well, I mean, your kind of approach seems like one of the most uncompromising approaches I've seen. Where, but I think there is the thing about this kind of music is that I get the feeling that this is something that if someone kind of ran across it like 10 years from now, they'd be like, oh my gosh, what? Wait, this came out in 2004? What? This thing, like, you know, that kind of, it's there. I mean, but also there's so much of that kind of stuff on the internet that kind of gets unearthed. Have you, I don't know, because have you followed any kind of like outsider art kind of stories or anything like that where things get just undiscovered for such a long time and they get kind of dug up and then the person's like, oh yeah, I don't know, I mean, I did that
I mean,
ago.
Yeah, like there was this documentary that came out probably a decade ago now. I only watched it maybe a couple of years ago, and it's about song poems, and there's quite a lot of like really interesting, I don't know, characters, like just people who are absolutely not musicians, but they send in like their weird poetry into these like session musicians who are just trying to make a buck on their studio while it's empty.
Right.
And there's just some like fantastic music that I see myself in them. They're just so strange. Like there's this song about like a person whose magic bicycle. I don't know. They live in Elmira, New York, and they want to save Priscilla Presley. I don't know. It's just fun and silly that's the kind of stuff I enjoy.
Yeah. I mean, I think the internet is, people on the internet are getting more and more interested in just stuff that sounds like nothing they've ever heard before, and the way that people can make stuff that sounds like nothing they've ever heard before. So I don't know if you have listened to any Animal Collective, but Avi Tier, one of the singers,
yeah.
One of the singers from Animal Collective was part of a project called Imaginary Friends, where some people just sent in stories about their imaginary friends, and it's not artists sending it in. It was just kind of like fans or just people. But I mean, these stories are still, art. A story is art, and so they were just people sending in stories of their imaginary friends, and then musicians wrote songs based on those things. And I think people are the kind of distance between fan and musician is becoming lesser and lesser. And I mean, of course, you've been a big part of that kind of, obviously everything that you've done, you've wanted to you've wanted to close that distance, I guess, with everything that you shared about the music that you make and everything. Have there been kind of projects like that you've seen where people kind of collaborate musically with people who wouldn't imagine themselves making music?
Well, I know this year I've seen Matt Moss just came out with an album, or Matt Moss, I forget how to say it. But they put together like this 3-track, it's like 2-hour long album where they just had a bunch of friends. A lot of them are musicians, and then a lot of them aren't. They just sent in this thing and kind of edited it all together as one giant piece, which I haven't listened to it, but it sounds great. They're great musicians themselves.
So had you heard Matt Moss in 2004, or did you come to them like later than that?
I heard them. Yeah, that's a good question. I think
I was wondering because I was wondering if you were the way that you made, like, taking things apart and a lot of the stuff that you did earlier. I was wondering if you listened to Matt Moss and you were like, oh yeah, that's
I think
sort of thing I was going for.
In the Napster era, I think I probably had like a couple tracks from a Chance to Cut is a Chance to Cure.
Right.
But yeah, I don't. I mean, in the Napster era again, and Audio Galaxy that followed it afterwards, like a lot of stuff was mislabeled or just like bumped in with a bunch of other things. Yeah. So
yeah.
I think I definitely had heard them. I don't know that they were influential. Like I mean, they were just sort of part of the soundscape that I was looking for at the time, I guess.
Right.
You know, in that sort of IDM vein where like Square Pusher and Aphex were, who you know, like that stuff I listened to religiously. Early Kid 606 and stuff.
Right. Yeah. So, but I mean, I really liked. I mean, because I'm a huge Animal Collective fan, so obviously like the that kind of stuff where you're trying to make something organic, or the kind of blurring the line between organic and electronic and stuff like that has always been very like interesting to me. And making, I mean, I guess, I think the Knife were really obsessed with that kind of thing in their latest album too, of kind of like queering music or something like that. Did you listen to much The Knife?
I heard Shaking the Habitual a couple of years back, which was you know, it's like mind-blowing. Just you know, just these sprawling, you know, tracks that just kind of go different places you'd expect. But I hadn't listened to anything prior to that. Kind of sampled here and there. That's one of those things that I you know, you listen to that track,
must get around to it.
Never. I have to go back and hear more of their stuff, I think.
Feel free to chip in, Jordan and Oliver, just whenever you like.
I'm just listening.
You guys are too busy making good jokes.
Yeah. I'm so busy trying to think of a thing for this prompt.
you guys are doing well.
I've just been missing most of them. I haven't been doing both at the same time. Caleb maybe the only one who's been doing it at the same time.
Yeah, I'm splitting my brain in two directions to
Thanks for doing
do badly at
this.
this. I'm operating on like 2 hours of sleep right now, so like these are worse than even the average tips that I could come up with.
I haven't even been able to pay attention to. You haven't been staying up to try and watch the election results or anything. I hope.
Yeah, no, that's what my wife is American, so last night we just had to, even though she didn't vote in it or anything, but we had to see the sweet train wreck that is.
Had to see it through. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, you didn't quite manage to see it through.
I didn't quite see it through.
Yeah, it's so unsatisfying because we watched like, I don't know, 8 hours of it, and there was still no result by the end of it. You know.
Yeah. And
I mean, neither candidate is that great.
No.
So it's totally unsatisfying on like every regard.
Yeah. Is there a point where it's just kind of like, oh well, Oh, well, it just ends up just being just more TV or something.
Yeah, I mean, I think there's a certain amount of like, this is kind of like sports where you're watching it to watch it just to see how it ends up.
Were you hoping for a Bernie nomination?
Oh, yeah. I'm very much a Bernie bro. I mean, I'm sure I don't know what the status is in New Zealand, but in Canada, of course, and I'm pretty sure it's the case. You guys have universal health care, right?
I mean, I think Jordan and Oliver and I are lefter than most, and so we're not happy with anything. We're like, New Zealand healthcare is lame, like whatever. Like I don't know. I think so anyway, but I don't even know. To be honest, I don't know what.
Yeah,
what the kind of rules for universal healthcare are or something like that. I think our healthcare system is probably better than in the US.
It is, yeah.
Maybe to put it lightly.
Yeah, I mean, we have some relatives in the US, and they're just, what they live in is just incredible to me, I guess. Like, absolutely, US should have public health care. I mean, in Canada, it's not great either, but it's better than, dying out in a ditch sick, or when we did live in the US, like just the pressure to like, I don't know, to not be sick because there was literally no backstop. We were broke. So that, you get pneumonia, what are you supposed to do? Like, if you have no money, you just hope the pneumonia goes away, whereas in Canada, even if it's not a great system and it's got its flaws, and I wish our past governments have kind of successfully, drained it of funding, it's still preferable to have something rather than nothing,
Yeah, I mean, I guess that was the 90s, I suppose. That was kind of most countries that aren't like communist, I guess, just ended up having that just happen. I mean, I suppose it happened to kind of like every country, basically. But oh gosh, where am I? Oh, I'm done, apparently. I don't know what's going on. I just have absolutely no idea. Jordan, I don't know, Jordan and Oliver, how did you guys did you guys watch the election or?
I followed it for quite a bit because at school, like everyone was talking about it. So,
all right.
But I kind of I think I followed it until I realized that the result wouldn't be known until like Friday or something, and I was just like, there's really no point following this anymore. So I went to sleep, and then checked it an hour ago or something, and it still seems like that's the case, I suppose. So I don't know. I feel like I don't know enough about American politics to follow it and know what's going on.
No, yeah.
I feel like it's just needlessly stressful, watching all this stuff happen, and I have no clue about. I don't really know what I'm talking about. So the stuff that's happening seems very meaningless to me until it all just settles, basically.
I mean, I think meaningless and probably depressing are pretty good descriptors for that whole election anyway. Definitely seems like the most depressing election of.
It's a sort of election that's not going to fire up the youth for the next one somehow. It's not going to.
Yeah, it may fire up the youth. To take to the streets and stuff like that, as if they can take care of themselves. I hope the youth don't actually do that. I hope no one takes to the streets right at this moment. But there's nothing I can do about that. Especially not in the US.
I was going to say, being Canadian, I do understand what happens in U.S. politics on a head level, but it's very different than actually experiencing it. It's one thing to have really strong opinions and think you're smarter than Americans for whatever reason, but to actually live in that context and live under Trump, I'm sure that it feels very different. So I've kind of shrunk back from U.S. politics a bit because
right.
It feels disingenuous to have or maybe just like, I don't know, callous to have strong opinions about a thing that doesn't, I can't directly back or don't vote for.
Yeah, I see what you mean. I guess being Canadian or from, I guess, anywhere in the Commonwealth, really, there's this kind of feeling of just being forced to watch this kind of horror show.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, because we're all so influenced by American culture. I mean, maybe Canada's okay. I don't know how Canada's going in terms of, but like just the American entertainment industry is just so massive in New Zealand, at least, that and that everyone can't, no one can help talking about it. So yeah, I guess that's tough, kind of working out what to do about that and what to say and what not to say. I mean, I spent most of my life on the internet talking to people about American politics, so that's kind of been a weird.
Yeah, it is weird. Like we're in such close proximity to it too. Like it's literally, you know, I'm an hour from the border or 2 hours, whatever it is, you know. But it's a country, of course. So
did you? Sorry.
Yeah. No, go ahead.
Did you revisit At Home and Unaffected at all around this time? It seems like it feels like that album is maybe the album of the moment for anyone who ever listens to it. It's still kind of, it feels like just the same thing for a younger generation. But I don't know if you've gone back and listened to that recently or had many thoughts about At Home and Unaffected.
I'm just going to butt in there because this Zoom meeting is going to get
flip
time limited in 2 minutes. Should we just like quit and re-enter?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, sure. Sorry.
Okay, let me just do that. Sorry, guys, and then you can answer. Yeah, I didn't know. We sort of like figured out the technical stuff this afternoon, and if I probably should have got a pro Zoom account, although I feel like I've given Zoom too much money this year already. Zoom had a good year, I think.
Indeed. Yeah, everything's on Zoom now.
All right, we're back in recording, Hamish, so you can
cool.
Just
do you guys want to keep playing Quiplash or just kind of chill out and talk for a bit?
Yeah, it's quite a I don't know, brain challenge to like answer questions and also answer other questions that are totally unrelated at the same time.
Yeah,
because I haven't laughed at because I haven't laughed at a single joke, and I'm sure if I went back and looked at them again, I'd be like, "Oh, these are actually really funny." My mind is just.
No, okay, I'm writing them out, and I'm like, no one's going to even acknowledge this. This is what's the point? I'm wasting gold here.
You're supposed to do that, though, right? I don't know. Anyway, At Home and Ineffectual.
Yeah, it's been a while since I've listened to that one, honestly.
All right.
Like I do definitely feel like there's a lot of resonance between now and the Bush era. It's funny to me that like so many of the lessons that we were supposed to learn from the Bush era, we kind of didn't. Like it's like, I mean, Bush is like he's like a liberal hero now, which is crazy to me, like
it's pretty upsetting.
Yeah, like half of these guys that I thought were war criminals and the worst people ever, and they're now like, they're like people's contributors on MSNBC. It's very, very strange.
Turns out they're actually really nice guys. Huh. That's cool. Yeah.
They're so pleasant.
Oh, they're just pleasant old men. People, I don't know. I think just people need that. I don't know. It's people are just I think I think Americans are desperate to redeem everyone. I think that's the thing. I think
there's just some sort of like thing that happens when you're a Democratic Party operative, I think, where it's like you think there's nothing better than like having a Republican on to say Republicans are bad. I don't know. I don't know what it is. It seems like that's just the thing they get off on the most. It doesn't really, I don't know, not the most appealing thing to me. Like the thing that bothered me about this past election when I did pay attention to it was just like the utter lack of substance to anything. Like it was all image, and I don't know. I mean, that's the thing I appreciate about Bernie is that he was always just so resolute about like saying the same things over and over again.
Yeah.
Like you need universal health care, war, like it's a simple message, but it's hilarious to me just how Biden really offered nothing besides just not being Trump, which I guess is some kind of sales pitch. But.
Yeah, I mean, it seems to, it's
but
the
it's kind of
Democrat
implicit,
sales pitch now. We're not Republicans is what Democrats are selling themselves on now.
Yeah.
Or maybe have been for a very long time. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, it's implicit in electing someone other than Trump that he's not Trump. So if that just seems like such a narrow thing to stake your whole campaign on. I mean, it looks like it's successful, so that's great, I guess. I don't know. It's hard to feel a whole lot of enthusiasm either way. I mean, lots of people do, so I'm good for them. It's not my country, and I didn't vote for it, so I don't suppose I have a right to really be super critical about it.
Yeah, I mean, Jordan and Oliver, do you guys think you have a right to? Do you think Caleb has a right to talk about American politics?
Well, I think it's right to be, somewhat have some humility in terms of your true relationship to it, because. Yeah, it's correct that we're not in it. We are observing it from an outsider's perspective. So it's good to have humility around that. But we live in a very interconnected world, and these things do matter, and more than ever. So it's only natural to have an opinion and to have feelings about it. But at the end of the day, we are powerless really to do anything because we can't vote. So. Yep. It is more of a, for us. It's more of a sports kind of event. It's more of a spectator sport for us non-Americans,
non-voters,
citizens. And it's probably a bit easy to get cynical or judgmental about it. Well, that's not really. That's a bit of a non-answer, but.
Oh, that's a good. I mean, any answer's good. What I don't know. Jordan, what do you think about politics?
I mean, I don't know. I mean, I think with American politics in New Zealand, it's very easy to. I don't know, like with someone like Trump, for instance, like just no one likes him. I think like it's very easy to kind of like sit back and kind of like.
Wow, you might be surprised, crazy? Jordan. Did you know?
I mean, sure,
actually,
like whatever.
Did you know that actually? Oh, so no, I'm like, I'm just hearing from my wife that like a bunch of her workmates are like pro-Trump now. So I'm like,
oh wow,
oh no, and like my other friend is talking about how her manager's pro-Trump, and that's scary, I guess, in some way. But I think also. I don't know. I get the feeling that people see like a Trump supporter and they immediately make all sorts of assumptions about like why they would vote for Trump, where there's so many different possible reasons you could vote for Donald Trump. Like,
yeah, definitely.
He attracts just kind of everyone, or anyone who's, I guess, yeah. Maybe everyone who doesn't who maybe I would think doesn't take politics seriously enough, but like I don't know, like how seriously I don't know. It's very hard to, I don't know.
I mean, there's probably people in New Zealand who don't really know that much about it, but are just like, oh, he said, I saw him on the news and he seems kind of like brash and bold or something.
I'm sure that's a lot of Trump voters as well, though. Like,
oh, sure.
People who like vote. Yeah, I mean, that's what, people vote for. And I was thinking about like Bernie Sanders as well, where because you were talking about how Trump is charismatic, and Trump has never seemed charismatic to me at all. He's always seemed just kind of awkward and if I can appreciate his charisma, it's in a very, very I'm like, oh, I guess maybe could appeal to someone. Whereas Bernie Sanders to me is really charismatic, and I really would like he could end up. That's Bernie Sanders seems like the kind of guy who I would be just absolutely fooled by if he actually didn't care or something like that. I mean, it's ridiculous. He would have to be a sociopath to be not to not actually care and just really want power at this point. Someone who's just dedicated his whole life, just like, actually, I just wanted to be president. And I suppose at that point, that would be kind of like, oh well, good on you, Bernie. You managed it. You kept up the act for a very long time. But Bernie is such a charismatic person to me, and his kind of personality is huge. Still, I think maybe that's why it's so disappointing that he didn't go against Trump as well.
Huge?
Sorry, yes. His personality is human.
How do you feel, Caleb, being in a country with you seem to be relatively sort of left-leaning or progressive, or however you want to call it, and you're in a country that, has a leader that is young and left, and forward thinking and that sort of thing? Is it, that's when the frustration with being in a conservative country gets tested. Like, is that something you're happy with, or do you feel you see more the limitations of politics in general in that situation? How do you feel about that in comparison to?
My general take on Canada and our culture in general is that we're the U.S. just 10 years behind at all times, and so I think our Trudeau is basically just Obama.
Right.
I mean, he's even worn blackface, but he's
very, just like Obama did back in college.
Still wearing it. Oh my God. Jeez. I think I just got canceled for that.
I'm personally canceling you.
I mean, both Obama and Trudeau kind of traffic in this sort of, I don't know, like cultural leftism, left. So it's policyless. It has no consequences beyond cultural issues. So,
socially progressive.
Socially progressive. And it doesn't really, they don't work at I don't know, taking power away from corporations. It's all about, a lot of, I hate this term, but virtue signaling, looking nice publicly and believing in the right positions that are on the left. Without having any substance, basically all the stuff that's free, abortions are free, gay rights are free, whatever, all the social stuff, you can look really good at it, but it doesn't cost corporations anything. And they're still worth defending, let's say. But to me, that's not where my heart is, I guess. To me, what I want is power for workers. I want lives to actually be substantially better in a measurable way rather than a feeling good way. And so that's where I feel like Trudeau was at. I mean, and much like George W. Bush, our previous guy, Stephen Harper, did a lot of race baiting and siding with corporations and kept us in Afghanistan when we should totally have been out. We're still in it, very much like Obama. So yeah, I don't know. I don't. I'm not strongly on the side of Trudeau. I do think he's better than Harper, but that's like a low bar to clear, I guess. Really hard to beat. When during the Bush years, it seemed so much clearer to me. Like John Kerry is good and George Bush is evil, is like the absolute evil. Now it's really hard to work up the same kind of like anger and feeling of like I'm on the side of justice anymore. Like both sides feel compromised in different ways, and maybe the conservatives still feel more compromised, and so I guess I'm generally still on the left. But I just wish I long for substance and don't hear a lot of it these days, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, I think I have maybe. I mean, I think I'm a pretty cynical guy, and I think I have maybe expressed similar kind of feelings about Jacinda Ardern, because she's really, really charming, and I think that's really good. But I have no idea what. I mean. Also, I mean, it's very hard to tell what I think is good for the country at any given moment as well. Like what kind of things are needed. I mean, you know, so you worked with the rapper Soul recently, who seems like he is just a Marxist. Had you read a lot of Karl Marx before you started working with them, or are you a Marx fan, or?
I Soul's an anarchist, and I don't think he. I think more so he's like sort of an ideological magpie. I think much in the way that I am, where he'll read something and be inspired about it and kind of go off in that direction. I think I'm not giving him enough credit there for being principled. I think maybe that's. I see a lot of that in myself, I suppose.
I think me
too. I've read some anarchist stuff, and it's not really I don't really identify with it much. I think there's good elements in all of these ideologies. I find, like, I think the reason so many political ideologies exist is that there's even just little tiny beads of truth in all of them, and I end up just sort of trying to pick the best pieces I can from them. But I also I think the true strength of any ideology is that you don't need to sit around and endlessly like process it and be on the side of it and work for it. Like I think the best thing about democracy in general is that people can be totally disengaged and live their lives and not have to spend months in like in like a drum circle doing I don't know, city council stuff forever. Like there are some people who love that, and then there's some people who just want to live lives, work jobs, not think too hard about it.
Yeah.
I don't know. I find myself in these past few years not being entirely certain where I land on the ideological spectrum anymore. It feels like it used to be a lot easier, and the lines have become a lot blurrier. I think I was pretty disappointed when Sanders got knocked out by both, I guess, Democratic Party sort of collaboration or whatever you want to call it, and also just the great timing of COVID. Just kind of turning off the remainder of the primaries. I don't know. So, yeah, and yeah. I don't know that I have a coherent political viewpoint these days. Just kind of between a whole bunch of different stimuli reacting. I think Trump has definitely made us all dumber. Having to focus our thoughts and energy on a guy who's just is totally freelancing at all times and who's coming at this from a sales point of view
Yeah. I mean, that's
Like, I
a
think
whole
it's
big
made comedy dumber and music
right.
dumber.
Mm.
I think it's made like Twitter a whole lot dumber. Like, I don't know, this week, like everyone just chiming in that you got to vote. Like, obviously, you got to vote. I don't know.
Yeah.
Everything's just gotten so obvious. Like, subtext
Yeah.
is stripped out of
Mm.
it. Everything. It's so unsatisfying. I don't know.
Yeah.
For years, I was like, if only everyone would just wake up and pay attention to politics, then we'd be fine. Now I want everyone to just shut up and stop talking about politics.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Sorry. Has this been a very irritating segment for you?
No, I don't. I'm not.
Speaking of like, I mean, I think humor, honestly, for me, I guess, what humor is really depends on who you look as well, because I think a lot of humor on the internet it's become like really, really good. Like it's been pushed to the sideline, but like, do you have you heard of shit posting?
Oh yeah, of course.
And that's like it. Maybe it's more of a, especially more it's not really a Generation X kind of thing, but definitely like people my age or younger, that's like the thing now. And things like YouTube poop and just completely absurd. If there's any meaning at all, it is all subtext. It is just no obvious punchline, and that's really fun and appealing. And I think maybe very much kind of like a product of people being very worried about being judged for their humor or being judged for their posts or something like that, or just really harsh criticism that you just make something that is just completely inscrutable. And that's kind of fun.
Yeah, I mean, I think the like the surrealists and the Dadaists of the 1910s and 20s and around that era, like they reacted to, I think, the nihilism of World War I, going like making art that was nihilistic and surreal as a response to it. I feel like in the same way, like that's kind of what shit posting and memes are now, but just taking that kind of seriousness that they used or countering that seriousness with just being like hilarious. Like some of like this is a great era for humor in that like nothing matters, and that's kind of hilarious. I don't know. Like what people are able to make humor from now and just like elicit laughter from the weirdest stimuli is, it's kind of awe-inspiring. Like, I don't know. I think that sense that like everything's falling apart and that nothing's working breeds it's comedic in a dark, surreal sort of way.
Right. Yeah. I don't know if this would be a good idea, or are you? I've made a couple of shit posts. I'm wondering if I could show you one. It's a mashup. Jordan, is this a good idea? Should I show Caleb Crayon Dogs? So sorry. Have you listened to much?
But
Okay. Have you listened to much Death Grips, Caleb?
Yeah, of course.
Yep. Okay, so I made one that's kind of like I think there's a lot of kind of I make some kind of musical shit posting, I guess you could call it. If you look up, are you able to go on YouTube at the moment?
Yes.
If you look up Crayon Dogs Brave the Rainbow.
Looking it up.
We can just, if you guys want to like just have a listen together or something, we can talk about mashups and stuff or whatever. This is the instrumental from Crayon Pop Song. Gosh, it's much better. Yeah, I mean, yeah.
Yeah, I heard it. I don't. The problem is like some of it is like I don't have the shared reference of Crayon Pop.
Oh yeah,
but
exactly.
I get what you're going for. It's funny.
Oh yeah, that's. I mean, I think that's a Death Grips thing too. I think if I think now because also Death Grips share a lot of their instrumentals and vocals and stuff like that, and Death Grips fans love doing ridiculous stuff, and so there's been a lot of mashups with. There's this really good one. The rapping over Wipeout. Maybe that would be. I don't know. Can we listen to that just for a second, and maybe that would be a bit more easy to kind of like.
Sure.
If you look up I fuck the music with my surf and turf on YouTube, are you guys free to do this as well, Jordan, Oliver?
I can hear it.
Oh yeah, we just put it on, I guess. So this is. It works so incredibly well.
That's pretty funny.
Yeah, it's because
that drum solo fits perfectly with what's his name, Zach's drumming style.
Oh yeah.
That's great.
Yeah. That's kind of what I mean. I think Death Grips fans had a kind of a weird reputation maybe back in the day, and kind of associated with like the alt-right and stuff like that. And I think since then, anyone who has been associated with kind of really bad politics, I guess, has kind of left at this point, and they've all kind of chilled out and just make just ridiculous. I mean, every Death Grips fan is obsessed with Death Grips, but also just loves making ridiculous things like this. Everyone loves making memes with Stefan or whatever, however you say his name.
Yeah, have you heard what's his name? Neil. I have no idea how to pronounce his name. Neil Sikoriga.
Oh yes, yeah.
He just came out with.
He's probably the father of that kind of stuff. Yeah, one of the.
I don't know if he's the father of it, but he's certainly.
He's one of the uncles of.
It.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the sponge rock will break, or spongy rock, I think it's called, or something like that. Broke my brain listening to it. It's so weird.
You want to play Boston, don't you?
No, I want to play Fly.
Okay.
Is that? Wait, what's the good? Yeah, no, I think Fly would be better. Yeah. Yeah.
If you Fly one.
Yeah. Fly Away.
Yes.
You've seen Lenny Kravitz Fly Away.
That one. That's great.
So good. Just.
Yeah.
It's just. It's very, very just sweet and innocent, which is what I love about a lot of shit posting, is that it's so there's nothing mean-spirited about it. It's not making fun of just anything in particular. It's just ridiculous, I guess. It's fun about that, I guess. I mean, yeah.
It's like the feeling of I mean, like with the modern internet, like you've got literally everything ever recorded at your fingertips.
Yeah.
And just recently, I on a whim, I put together, I'm just because I felt like it, Steely Dan's "Do It Again" and mashed it up with the World 2 Overworld theme from Mario 3, and somehow made that made it work, and it fits perfectly. I always thought it would work. Just did it on a lunch break one day.
That probably means a lot to Jordan.
Yeah.
What'd you say?
Jordan plays Nintendo games.
Yeah. And also a bit of sit down as well. So.
Okay, there you go. Oliver, can you imagine those things, or you haven't listened to much Steely Dan or haven't played much Mario?
No, I don't have a very clear reference on either of those two things. Of course, I'm vague.
Okay, yeah. Yes.
Well, what I'd like to know is how does this classify as shit posts exactly? Like,
I don't know. I mean, I think it's in a very similar vein in the sense that, so I think shitposting is, I would say, it's a joke with no particular punchline.
right, yeah.
Like, you're not like, your expectation, most of the time humor, like comedy, thing like that, is you set up something, you have a setup and then a punchline, whereas shitposting is kind of like the entire thing is punchline. The setup is that you click on something, that's all. Or I guess the
setup is almost the form. Like,
maybe.
I think as far as I like the thing about any modern comedy is it's just so like vaporous. Like, it's so hard to pin down what's funny about it. But I think half of it is like putting something unexpected into a form that you're used to another thing happening in, and the discord is just funny somehow.
I feel like memes have got to the point where, you know, every part of the meme is made funny. There's no the format is it's kind of, memes have gone in on themselves so completely that you know, the particular font that you use and the I guess, you know, everyone knows how to, you know, well, all the kids know how to use Photoshop or whatever, and so every kind of little part of it that could be funny is made funny, or is a reference to something, or like every inch of like a picture that you post has some insane thing going on. Every meme has become like unique. There's no like templates anymore like there were in the, you know, 2000s or 2010s, I guess. I mean, I don't know. What was the first? Did you see the dancing baby back in the day, and you were like, oh, this dancing baby? I think that's supposed to be the first internet meme.
Yeah, I'm trying to think of what the first meme I would have encountered would have been. I don't know.
I mean, it's hard to. I mean,
like Homestar Runner or something. I don't know if that counts as a meme. It's certainly like a cultural touchstone for the internet.
Yeah, and things kind of become memes. Like talking like strong bad, I guess, can be. I don't know. I mean, memes are, you know.
Or like Jib Jab or something like that. Remember Jib Jab?
Right, yeah. What were some Jib Jab like things? I don't know.
I think the most notable thing that you look back on and cringe now about is like they had that "This land is your land, this land is my land."
Oh yeah.
Like George Bush and John Kerry like running across America, doing quips with that, and their particular form was like this, like a head that's cut in two, kind of like Terrence and Philip.
I did actually watch that.
The mouth kind of moves. It's like really low budget, like flash animation from
I guess very South Park as well, I guess. Classic South Park humor. So because I mean, for me, I had never heard the Woody Guthrie song. That was my first introduction to that song, which I still haven't actually heard the real thing. I think I haven't actually sat down and listened to This Land is it called This Land? Is it called This Land Is Your Land? What is it called?
Yeah. If you can track it down, like the original version, like the most popular version has kind of is more sentimental, but Woody Guthrie's original versions of it have end with like, you know, talking about how private property should be abolished and stuff. He was kind of dude.
I mean, Bob Dylan. I mean, I know Bob Dylan way more than I know Woody Guthrie. Do you like Bob Dylan? Do you like any era of Bob Dylan? Is Bob Dylan something you listen to much or not?
Uh, I made a project of listening through Bob Dylan a couple years ago and didn't get that far in. Not because I didn't like it, but I do like his early protest stuff.
Mm.
And then his like kind of basement tapes era stuff that I've listened to. Like he's a fantastic writer for sure. Once he gets out of his protest phase. Yeah, I don't know that I have a whole lot to say about Bob Dylan. Like he's at a certain point, like it used to be like a hot like, Bob Dylan is terrible. I don't know. Bob Dylan is great. Like I don't think I'll add much to the cultural conversation about Bob Dylan.
No, yeah.
I think with a lot of these like kind of boomer era musicians, kind of had to be there to really feel their significance, and listening to them now, like you get a sense of it, but you don't really get the full impact anymore. Feel that way certainly with like I don't know, like David Bowie or something. Like I don't find him that impressive, but I'm sure when you heard him in context at the time, he was great. I don't know. Rolling Stones still rock. Beatles are still great.
I got into the Beatles through Animal Collective, actually. So I was a big Animal Collective fan, and my girlfriend at the time lent me Sgt. Pepper, and I listened to Sgt. Pepper, which I had already heard kind of the earlier stuff, and because my dad had the red and the blue albums, they're kind of greatest hits things. But they'd always, and I was like, oh, psychedelic Beatles, oh my gosh, like old bands were psychedelic, because I didn't know anything about psychedelic music. Like I listened to Animal Collective after just years of listening to Green Day. Like I listened to Green Day, then Franz Ferdinand, and then Animal Collective, and that was my musical kind of journey. And so going back to old music again, I just wanted psychedelic sounds.
Yep. Yeah, they're one of those pioneers. Like it's funny, they're known for their psychedelic sound, and yet like I don't know, when I last listened through, what I was really struck by was like how hard they actually rocked, especially towards the end of their career. Like they had some genuinely like rip your face off riffs, you know.
Yeah. Helter Skelter,
like so discordant and distorted and heavy.
I like doom metal was kind of like a thing around 69 or something like that. Like Black Sabbath came out in 69, and like I Want You, She's So Heavy just straight up sounds like a doom metal song, or like proto doom metal, I guess.
Or like Helter Skelter, like that sounds hardcore even now. I can't imagine how it must have felt like to hear that back then. And it's like Helter Skelter is just like, I looked it up. It's like just some kind of like ride
it's a slide.
Yeah, it's like a slide thing.
Yeah, I mean, I like that. It's a nice kind of picture, I guess, of kind of maybe going up and like a coming down from a high or something like that, or going like kind of bipolar feelings or something like that. But I mean, yeah, it's a song about going on a slide. I guess there's probably a lot of stuff like that. And there's probably a lot of like early Pink Floyd songs like that as well, I suppose.
What's fun about this thing that's different than anything I've done before is that it's produced by people who are like actual real competent producers who like know how to arrange like sub bass and put things together in an order where it sounds really good and not cluttered, which is not my usual MO. And so I did a series of tweet threads kind of going over each song just because, you know, what else can you do these days with promoting albums? And one thing I said there was like just how the production of these, like this one, Adventure Club in particular was a DJ Payne 1 instrumental that he sent me. And it, I have my usual sort of circle of what I like to write about, and this was outside it. Like it sounded, it's so like bright and happy and joyful. And so it kind of pushed me to write a happy, joyful song, which I don't usually do. And it's not like in my regular life I'm like dour and I don't know, joyless all the time. It's just when I'm in songwriting mode, I don't usually write happy songs. So it's really cool to actually, I don't know, have this stuff prompt new ideas or new approaches. That was quite fun.
Were you thinking at all? Because you like the Postal Service a lot, right? Were you one of the people who was like, oh, our city just sounds like the Postal Service?
People early on compared me to Postal Service a lot. And I have to say, I never had heard any of their songs, even like from Such Great Nights, which I heard later.
Okay. Yeah.
I only heard it in probably like 2017. I just never got around to it. But like it's good stuff for sure.
Yeah. So I thought what I thought was funny about this was that the kind of how it came together seems quite Postal Service, in that you'd been doing your thing for a very long time, and then maybe decided to do something else, and then just kind of reached out and just got some talented producers to just do something, and then you came up with it afterwards. Like sorry, so in terms of like how I don't know what was happening with Death Cab for Cutie at the time, but it seems like a similar kind of story, I suppose, in that these people, but at the same time too, but Adventure Club theme sounds more like an Owl City song than a Postal Service song. Like I think Ben Gibbard really loves to talk about really just dark, awful things in his very sweet voice, and I guess it appeals to some people, and I do like it sometimes. I think very recently I'm kind of like I don't know. I've been very creeped out by a lot of things recently, and that kind of can be a bit much sometimes when you hear Ben Gibbard talking very sweetly about how the global warming is going to kill us all or whatever, that kind of thing. And so Adventure Club theme is I love the sincerity of it, and that I guess the idea that this would be too much to do something sarcastic or something. Did you find at any point that you were like, oh, that sounds a bit too sarcastic, and had to kind of do it again, or were you
no, not really.
Okay.
No, I mean it was one of those situations where I heard it, and I mean the story of the entire album is like I sat on a lot of these instrumentals for many years and kind of let them languish on my hard drive for far too long. It was like a weird, some of these things I got from as far back as 2014, and just they were in various stages of not being finished, and so they come from quite a diverse, I don't know, a number of diverse situations as time went on, I guess. So they're expressions of different things I was thinking about over that long period of time. So
I guess the song Open Concept kind of refers to that, or definitely is a huge you said on Twitter that it was kind of, and from your end it was kind of half made for a very long time, and then you came back to it again, and it was fun listening through as someone who has heard a lot of Decomposure a lot, hearing the difference between how you sing on Adventure Club theme and the sound of how your vocals are produced as well, like how you mix them or whatever, and then going to Open Concept, which sounds like it could be from Eating Chicken or something. It's very kind of classic 2012 era decomposure, and I thought that was really fun. Did you notice that at the time where you were like, oh, how different your vocals sound, just in terms of how what you do with them, not just how you like kind of how you sing, but how you produce them?
Oh yeah, like I think as time has gone by, I guess when I started making music, of course, my first album's like all instrumentals, because I didn't have anything to record with at the time. And so second album, I was obsessed with like singing loud and at the top of my lungs, at the top of my range. And it was, I remember in like Humidity Patient Guide, as I was sort of getting used to recording vocals more, realizing like I don't really have much of a mid-range. Like I tend to just sing way at the top of my range in like a pressed voice the whole time. And I think having kids really changed it. Like all of a sudden, like I was singing to them every day, and you can't screech at kids, So I got used to singing in sort of, I don't know, a much more hushed tone, and I think it I don't know, it opened up a side of my voice that I'd never really tried before, and so I can definitely hear over time like my voice kind of me learning how to actually use it and not just be shrieking the whole time. So I can definitely hear the difference in just like, I mean, as you age too, like your voice kind of mellows out and starts warbling in weird places.
Yeah.
I've always hated how like just straight and boring my voice was. So it's nice as I grow older for it to start like developing a couple creases in it, as it it gains a little bit of character here, which is nice. It's what I hope to get. So yeah, but it really started with having kids and singing them lullabies. It just kind of opened my eyes, and I've been trying to like incorporate that into the music I record since then.
Yeah, I feel like I mean, I do a bit of singing, and I feel like that's been like I don't have any kids, but I feel like that's been a thing for me a little bit this year, where I was like, I've worked out how to sing in a head voice, where I didn't even know what that was before, really. Well, I had no idea how to do it or something like that, but I feel like I know that feel of having your voice change in ways that you weren't always expecting, or something like that. But yeah, I was kind of a belter as well. I would just kind of like, if I wanted to sing high, I just screamed it out. But I mean, I do. Yeah, I do like you've got singing. It's mostly singing on At Home and Unaffected, but you've got a little like a beat poet thing near the end as well, which is pretty fun. What else should we? I was interested to talk about Ghosts Inside a little bit, because this was probably the first of your albums that I'd heard after reading all the lyrics. And Ghosts Inside, when I read that, I was like, oh, I'm very spooked out by this. Like this, I mean, I think maybe I'm just easily spooked at the moment, but I was pretty spooked by the words of Ghost Inside. I don't know if you're interested in elaborating any further on how. Yeah, I don't know. Is this based on some very, very spooky experiences, or were you just kind of in the mood to write some spooky stuff?
No, it's actually well, I guess I should start at the beginning. Like DJ Payne One and I had been kind of talking, because we collaborated with Soul on a number of tracks, and it had gone pretty well. Like he's extremely chill and like even keeled, and he just seemed to I don't know, we worked together well, I guess. And so he sent me this instrumental. He was kind of thinking of working on an EP, and I listened to it, and I wrote him back and said, like, this sounds like what I usually write about is, like, I don't know, dissatisfaction, politics, and I don't know, art, whatever it is. And he's like, he emailed back and said, hey, I don't know that fits here. Like, we really want, this is more a song about, like, longing, or it has a wistful feeling. And so it kind of got me jogging. And so like the song itself is sort of an elaborate, not an elaborate, it's like a metaphor for loss, for losing someone either by death or like losing a relationship, like just your standard breakup song. Just about when that moment happens, and then years pass by, and you find yourself kind of being triggered by just something small, where it brings back all the memories. That kind of forgetting the word here, but so that's what it's about. It's not actually about any ghosts at all. It's more about the metaphorical ghost of having a piece of them live on in your memory, and just finding it suddenly when you least expect it, just triggered by, I don't know, like it says, like a chord of a song that you hear, and suddenly it reminds you of when you were, I don't know, 15 or something, or it reminds you of your mom who passed away, or whatever the situation is. Like, it's deliberately vague and general, and there's a fair amount of abstraction, kind of making it less decipherable directly, but that's what it's about. Not about any actual ghosts. Don't believe in ghosts.
Yeah. I mean, I guess you can in some way call that nostalgia, but I suppose it's a bit of an upsetting side of nostalgia, maybe, where
it's like bittersweetness.
For me, it ended up being, reading it and stuff like that. I'm like, oh, this sounds like that time that I went insane. So that was my kind of experience reading it. I was like, oh yeah, yep. So so my reading of it was a more kind of like a legion from the Bible or something like that. That kind of letting ghosts inside.
Sure. I mean, it's funny. Like the funny thing about, like, writing a song is, like, you come to it with all your own thoughts, and then once you put your words on, put your voice on it, and send it out, like, other people have completely different takes on it, or notice different things. It's such a, in a way, like, I think I feel like I spend too much time trying to, like, smooth out the words so that they feel perfect to me. And when the real thing is, like, how does it sound? Like, if you're coming to a song, you're going to skip it within the next 10 seconds just based on whether you like the vibe. And I end up spending more time on the words when maybe I should be working on the vibe more. But I suppose that's why I like working with these producers, because they come to the track with a vibe kind of preloaded that I'm just trying to match in some way.
I mean, I guess that's probably, like, I mean, so collaborative songwriting must have been very new to you, and the way that songwriting happens between multiple people ends up being something, I guess, pop producers and pop songwriters must know that's how it is. You build some kind of song together, and it becomes something that's maybe means something to one person, one songwriter means another thing to another songwriter, and then you put it out and it means entirely different things to everyone who hears it. And that's kind of like the idea. Was that something that, because you are someone who spent a lot of time explaining what you mean, was that something that you were kind of frustrated with sometimes. I think you had written in liner notes and stuff like that about critics misinterpreting things and stuff like that. Is that something that you've become a bit more accepting of nowadays, or?
I think when I really early on, I put so much stock in what other people thought of me. Like I really wanted to release an album and have all the people, like back then it was like music blog. You really wanted to get a good review on music blog, and it was such an ego boost to be like, wow, they really got it. They think I'm great. And with my first album, that was the case. Like people really liked it. And then my second one, when I started singing, the reviews began to shift considerably, and not as many people were a fan of that. And so it's a maturing thing. Like I just couldn't really hack it, like not being liked. Because it's a very intimate thing to like sing to someone or to sing your thoughts or. And so to be rejected on that level is I wasn't really prepared for it. And so it took me a while to kind of, put things in perspective, I guess. Now I mean, it's still weird to publish my innermost thoughts in a song and then be like, hey, what do you think to other people?
Yeah.
It's an uncomfortable thing. Like making music is the least, I don't know, least shareable thing. Like at best, you're just like sitting next to someone, like listening to your words, and the best they can do is be like, "This is great." It's not super satisfying, but it's the process. I enjoy making it, so the awkwardness, I guess, is worth it.
Yeah. I mean, I guess that's being an artist, being a still living artist, I suppose, you can be an artist who makes some amazing stuff and that no one ever sees, and then people find it years later. But I mean, hopefully it can be worth it when someone's like, wow, this thing is amazing. I don't know. Have you felt that it's been on the level, like, I don't know. It's a stupid question to ask. Are you glad?
No,
that
I know
you've
what you
made
mean.
music?
I think every musician. I should just speak for myself. Like for me, you go through life with like templates for how you think life is supposed to work, right? And a lot of it's like based on movies you've seen. And so early on in my career, such as it is, I was thinking like, I'm going to be, this is how it's going to go. I'm going to release an album, and then like, I don't know, like a music, like a rockumentary montage. There, people are going to like pass it around and be playing it on their record players, have their headphones on, reading the liner notes. And then, I'll be in a venue and my career will take off. And that didn't happen. So then, with your second album, you're like, okay, this is the one. The first one was my trying things out, and then this is where I perfect my.
It was just juvenile.
My technique, and then the narrative. Then I'll try that narrative out. And so and then eventually you end up at like, all right, well, none of this worked. I'm not a star. Music is not paying any bills. So hopefully in the future, someone will discover me, and then I'll be like retroactively like I'll start a movement or something. And I've been through all of those at various stages and other ones. Like I've been discovered by some rapper or a radio host or something, and then this will be my big break. Or I'll be in a commercial and it'll be great. And none of it's none of it works out the way you want, because life, those are TV narratives. That's not actually how life works. Like a lot of it is just like being thankful for the contacts I make with people who appreciate it on the level that I'm trying to make it. Once in a while it'll be, I'll get like an email from someone who appreciates some particular thing, or maybe a playlist will pick up some song for some reason, and then it'll spike for a second and then recede. For me, like it's still about making the music, even though I don't have the time I used to do so. But if you can't be satisfied, if I'm not satisfied with the art, then there's not much point in continuing, I suppose. So.
And it's fun, right? It's just fun to make music.
Oh yeah, I mean it's just even. I mean, like this little project. It's such a fun like a puzzle to do, like where someone sends you this instrumental, and you like, okay, so tabula rasa. I got I can put whatever I want on here, and some things are like off the table. What do I write about? How do I sing it over this? What is too much? What's too little? What is maybe something's missing from it that can improve it? Like it's such a like a puzzle, a maze of some sort. Like the possibilities are so endless, and you just keep on following instincts and trying stuff, trial and error until something comes out of it. That was kind of the fun of it, I guess. Working with Soul, and he'd send like, here's a 30-second gap where you can put in a hook. That was kind of my first experience with it.
Oh wow.
Before that, it's like, I'd have an idea and then I'd make that a song, and there's no like in between. Trying to fit a piece into space is kind of is a different kind of challenge than trying to work out.
That reminds me of I don't know if many producers nowadays do this, but when I started making music, I was just like, I don't know what I was not interested at all in people saying like, this is an EP and this is an album and this is my official debut album and I was like, why is everything so official? I just put it. I put some music up on, like, maybe that's a Bandcamp thing or SoundCloud thing as well, where you just kind of put stuff up and you're just like, this is some stuff, and you can listen to it if you like. I need to ask this because I reached out for questions and I got one comment on the YouTube video, so I want to ask about the latest craze sweeping the internet right now. What do you think about imposter syndrome?
I think with I think sometimes it's people trying to find an excuse not to improve. I think sometimes when you feel what people might characterize as imposter syndrome, I think maybe you're actually feeling yourself bump up against reality. Like maybe the truth is you're not that good, and maybe you need to sit with that feeling for a while and think about ways that you could actually improve. I think some people are genuinely really good at things and feel bad about them. I feel bad about my art constantly, but I think it's warranted. Like there's lots of ways to improve. Music's infinite, and I feel like I've only dug up a little tiny corner of what I understand. But like my voice could improve, my chord selection, my songwriting. There's so many ways you could improve anything, and so I think it's not to like totally write off any person's feelings about themselves. Like feelings are subjective, but I find when I do best is when I'm challenged to do better, or when I feel bad about something and react to it by trying to do more with it, I guess. Not to totally invalidate anyone. How anyone feels about it. But that's how I think that's where I go. Like it's okay to feel bad about yourself. That's how we grow up, If everyone felt great about that's like Donald Trump's MO, like constantly just feeling like you're the best at things. That's just as much a lie as I'm good at nothing. So there's a middle ground.
Yeah. I mean, I think it's really hard to tell who you want to, what kind of attitude you think would be good to have, or something like that. I think I was just, because when they asked this question, I looked imposter syndrome up on Wikipedia, as I do, and it definitely seems like a case of just putting a syndrome, people being very the kind of, I don't know, the medical industry, I don't know, being very really wanting to categorize everyone. Like imposter syndrome sounds like, I mean, I guess I think there is definitely a feeling on the internet that there are a lot of kind of gifted kids who were told that they're smart, who were told, instead of like being told that they did a good job or that they put a good effort in or something like that, who were just kind of praised for things that they had no control over, like, oh, you're smart, or oh, you're beautiful, or something like that. And I think there is definitely a feeling more and more that people don't want to hear that, or people are maybe tired of hearing that they're like talented, maybe, and are more interested in, or what, like, do you like my stuff, or what did this kind of do for you, that kind of thing. I think maybe it's just a personal thing. I'm very tired of hearing people being described as talented, because I don't know what that means, and there's no work that goes into being talented. And so I don't know if maybe some people take it as a compliment, but I think I don't know, when people have called you talented, has you felt good about that most of the time, or have you just felt like, oh, I don't know, or have you, I don't know, because it can really depend on the person too.
I mean, I, like all people, love to be complimented and hear people say that I'm great. I mean, I don't think talent is enough is the problem. Like, it's not, the world isn't a meritocracy, right? Like, if I record the best possible album capable of, let's say, that doesn't guarantee that I'll have an adoring audience. Like the world what are we at, like 7 billion people? There's just an impossible number of people who all have gifts and internal lives and dreams. Like it's impossible to guarantee every single one of us like our own biopic. It would be great. Like, it'd be great if everyone were valued fully. But I don't know how realistic it's going to be.
I'll say, okay, I'll make this my last question. I'll make it my own personal question. Oliver's just messaged me saying 10-minute warning. Okay, great, that's great. What do you think about, I don't know, let's say if we talk about the global stage fright, I think maybe there are more and more people these days who are very scared of ever being famous, who kind of, maybe there's people who we've seen people become famous on the internet for things that they really did not expect to become famous for. And that, I mean, you can talk about Rebecca Black, or people who were in memes or something like that, for whom fame was never something they were looking for at all, and it's just kind of happened to them, and the stress that kind of comes with that, and kind of navigating that. I mean, have you seen many of these stories and ever thought kind of a bit like, oh, but by the grace of God go I, kind of thing? Or
like I certainly, a couple years ago, I jumped on a couple tours and shows with Soul, just to a couple limited locations, and got up on stage and sang my portion of the song and stuff. And I never really toured much. Like, I didn't have the budget for it or the audience to go do it. and
you don't
like
tour since 04.
Yeah, and so it was. I came away from it just kind of feeling like, maybe this isn't my thing. Like I don't know. I don't feel like I want to be famous in that same way. Like what I always wanted was not to be famous, but just to have my music be self-sustaining, like so that I could make some portion of make some amount of money on it, so that I could continue to do it without like having all the interruptions that regular adult responsible life entails, like paying for a mortgage, paying for car payments, fixing your fridge when it breaks, all that regular life stuff. And it turns out that's like so few people ever get to do that. Even like so many musicians that I admire to now can, despite being geniuses and revolutionary and so much better writers and musical players than I could ever be. Like they're still not making a living on it in the modern musical landscape. So, but I realize like I don't know. I don't have the thing in me where I want a bunch of people staring at me, I guess. It feels uncomfortable. And I really kind of started to reconcile or reckon with that feeling, and realizing like, I just like making music. I don't necessarily want to be, I don't know, singing in front of Jimmy Fallon at any point. Not that was ever like going to be a concern of mine.
Oh, but
I just confirmed it to myself, I guess. So I understand that thing. Like, I don't know, like I got off Twitter for a long time just because I was feeling like, I don't know, I don't know, like it was turning me into someone that I wasn't, or that I wasn't entirely comfortable with being. And as I continue to age, as the years continue to march on, like I'm less and less enamored with like putting on a show for people, I guess. I just kind of want to do the things that I like and not the things that I don't like anymore. And I mean, part of it is time constraints. Like I've got work and responsibilities and children that I have to parent and have fun with and raise. So like it's sort of a great narrowing of purpose in life. Like I don't know, you have less time and less time for the stuff that's ephemeral, and you kind of get down to the real stuff that actually matters. So
you work out what you really care about, I guess.
Yeah, exactly. So like this album, I mean, it's super delayed, but it's what I wanted. It's what I wanted to do. I wish I could have gotten to it sooner, but life kind of conspired to make it not happen as fast as I would have liked. But yeah, that's where I'm at right now. So I can totally understand people not wanting to be famous. I mean, not to keep on bringing it back to Trump, but like clearly with Trump, like he's got a deep vacuum inside himself where he needs to fill it with other people's approval, and that's probably his most relatable quality. Like that he's so clearly just desires validation from everyone, and he'll never get it because he's a doofus. But you just see him nonstop, just tweeting, reaching out. He's literally the president, and he's still unhappy. And so I look at someone like that and go like, that's not what I want to be. I'd rather just be myself on my own terms and sell like, I think I'm up to like 10 copies of my album, but actually be myself through it.
Yeah, I mean, I've always got that impression from all of your music anyway. So I'm glad that you've, you don't seem like someone who's ever regretted not like selling out or whatever. And yeah, I think this year definitely has been a year for people in general to realize what they care about more. I mean, I
sure.
assume you already you already knew what you cared about and stuff like that. But it's nice getting like these little reminders nowadays. What's really like valuable.
Well, I think you over your life you continually like learn the lessons you already knew about. Like I don't know. That's why recording albums is such a. It's like they're like little diary entries. Like there are points where I learn something and really like really grasp it. There are times when I just figure something out for a second. Then it slips away, but I can go back and listen to it and remember that point where I kind of had a handle on something. I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's kind of nice being validated by yourself. It's kind of being like,
or being
I was totally right.
Too.
Yeah, too. I think that can happen too, even with stuff that you liked in the past and that you stopped liking, and like stuff that I found cheesy in the past that I go back again and I'm like, either I get it this time, or just the cheesiness becomes something I enjoy about it anyway.
Like last year, after hating 80s music for the longest time, I started listening to Michael McDonald and was just like enraptured. Like his voice is so perfect, and how he puts together these songs. Like it melted my anti-aging heart. I just was suddenly listening to it all through it again and appreciating it, like not ironically, which is as would have been my normal mode, but like just genuinely like, this is great music. I get it now. I finally get it.
Sweet. All right, we've got to head off now, Caleb. Thank you so much for talking. I hope you have a good sleep now, I guess, or work or whatever you feel like doing.
I got to pull an all-nighter tonight.
Okay. I'm sorry to hear that.
But yeah, thanks for
everything. I hope you sell 1 trillion copies and get like way too famous and stuff. Thanks so much.
I hope not. But thank you for chatting with me.
Thank you.
Right. Talk soon.
Have a good one. See ya.
Right.